the channel. Today we are working on the Hellcat. I have been waiting for a few little miscellaneous random parts. So I was waiting for this other grill right here that goes on the driver's side on the bumper. I still need to get some U-nuts so I can put the center grill in, but we should be able to get everything else put together. And I still, like I said before, I need to buff the fenders, the hood, the front bumper, and ceramic coat them before I put the flares on it. But I also had to wait for these closeout extensions. I am pretty sure that these go right on the side of the duct right there, just to kind of close it out so the air goes into the condenser and the radiator instead of, you know, going around it. So I was waiting for one of these for the driver's side as well. So now we have both of those. Everything's good to go. I have the new bumper foam. I thought that the Scat Pack one was the same, but they are quite a bit different. So good thing that we have that now. Could put that in the bumper, get the bumper 100% secured on there so I could actually drive it around. We got our Christmas Day openings, Nate.
Yeah, one grill.
Christmas every day.
All goes over here.
That's what I should rename my channel.
Christmas every day.
Christmas every day. But I'd have to do dope stuff every day, which I don't, so. This thing, I need to figure out how these go. I'm supposed to like close out the thing. Right hand. That's what I'm thinking, because I got them with the bumper. Well, not with the bumper, I ordered them.
That's the part you put in the video when it actually clips in. Oh.
Is it there? Is that it? Oh, this one. Let's go down a little bit. Look at that. Oh, we got a little clip, Nate. Shit.
Finally.
Just one. I need.
Oh, you only have one of those?
No, I need like this whole bottom is those clips, I'm pretty sure. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4. But these ones are the bigger ones.
Oh.
But I could mount this in there, but I kind of want to drive this.
Yeah.
So I don't want just one holding it in. Then I don't have to take it back out.
Just use zip ties.
Ooh, shit, Nate. I think we're onto something now. Zip ties. Make sure your thing goes up.
Yep.
Just watch the edge of the bumper so it doesn't get scratched on the finger. Yep. Now that I figured out what the alignment issue was on the bumper, I can finish assembling it. I actually found a bunch of clips from when I took the Scat Pack and this Hellcat apart. So I should have all the U-nuts and everything to completely assemble this. One problem that I was running into was when I got the car wrecked, it didn't have the front bumper or anything on it. The body shop must have already taken it off to look at it and never, you know, put any of the clips or any of that stuff back on. So I really didn't know how it was assembled or went together. And I was having this weird alignment issue at the top of the bumper here. It was sitting too high. And what was happening was there's this ducting right here. I thought this ducting this clip on here went above this and then clipped in, but it actually goes below it. You can see there's this little slot right here, and the clip goes to the top of the radiator support into the ducting and holds it in there. So we're good there. This sits nice and flush now. Everything lines up, and now we can pretty much finish aligning the bumper, aligning the hood. So I was able to get the lower lip attached. How the lower lip attached, that's not the full lip, that's just the lip support, I guess you would say. The main lip just slides in and has these right here, and they just clip onto the bumper. Well, they don't really clip. There's a little screw thing right here. So pretty much you need a bunch of these. I think there's 8 of them or something like that. I'm just gonna rob the ones for the Scat Pack bumper, but I'll do that tomorrow, and then have the lip and everything on. But the bottom lip is kind of a pain because you have to, I slid it on after I put the bumper on, but it's a lot easier to slide on when the bumper's off, and then it just slides forward because there's some tabs, and then there's a larger U-nut on the back, but then the grill has to slide in between. So this slides into the bumper and then the grill slides underneath it to kind of secure it. And then the bolt goes through. So you can kind of see the U-nut in the bolt right there. The one thing I'm running into is I'm kind of having to figure all this out for myself because I can't find anything online of how this is going. Dodge doesn't even have a diagram, a very good diagram of how the bumper goes back together. I also was able to get the insulation and the fender liner in, so that's all clipped in. So now we'll have, you know, all the air is gonna flow really nice. It's gonna go through both coolers and all the coolers correctly, and then out the back of the coolers. Also, the fender liner, I won't have to worry about anything getting flicked into the engine bay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get gas in this thing because it's almost empty, and then I need to also put in some little screws. So I didn't have the correct M6 screws, so I'm just using some button head stainless steel ones, and they just secure the top of the grill. You can see that's a little loose right here, and then there's just a U-nut on the other side of that. So I think that'll look a lot better. Usually they're just these, where they're at, they're just black ones. They're kind of like this, but they don't have this little washer on them. And I just really don't like how they look. These ones fit in there a lot nicer. And I'm just gonna, I don't have an Allen wrench here, so I'm gonna go over to Brandon's, use his Allen wrench to put these bolts in. To a pretty good stopping point with the Hellcat. Been working on her for quite some time now, and I am so happy that she is now in this stage after all the setbacks. I've almost had this car for a year, so she is now almost 100% complete. I have the flares on the car, but the flares and flare extensions are not yet cut and buffed. The rest of the car is. So I did end up putting the flares on. I was trying to cut them off of the car, but it's almost impossible to hold them and use the orbital buffer or I don't know what those are called. I think it's an orbital buffer or whatever. But I was trying to use that. It's really hard to hold it. And I just decided to put the flares on the car. The car will hold the flares on there while I buff them. And then I just ran a tape line to protect the fender from the pads so I don't burn the paint on the fender. So another thing I want to discuss about this car is I couldn't find any resources how to put the front bumper together. If you didn't watch the first video or first episode of this build, I got the car and it already went to a body shop and they already removed a bunch of the parts. That's one thing I really don't like is when cars go to body shops, they remove all the parts, then they just throw them away. So I didn't have headlights or grills or anything, so I couldn't see how it went together. So I've just kind of been putting it together and fighting tooth and nail trying to figure out how it went together. There's also no resources online on how it goes together. Dodge has a how to remove a Hellcat bumper or Challenger bumper, but their pictures are awful and they really don't show you much of anything. So what I'm gonna do is actually just kind of go over how things kind of mount and what kind of clips they use. I'll also try to put a lot of the clips and kind of a description of what they're for in the description. And let's just kind of go over this. So pretty much the grill, and so this piece is like a grill, I don't know, a shroud. I'd say a grill shroud. It just clips into the bumper. The grill then clips into that, and these pieces just kind of clip into both of them, and that's how that's kind of set up. And then the foam just kind of slides. There's a couple slots that are in this piece right here. The reinforcement foam just kind of slides in there and sits in there. So another thing I want to say is it's a lot easier to put the whole bumper together off of the car, because you can put everything on the front bumper and then put it on the car. So you don't have to kind of fight it, which I have been doing because I didn't know how it went together and I already had the bumper lined up. I didn't want to remove it again because it was pretty hard to, everything likes to shift on these. They're pretty loosely fit from the factory. So, it was kind of hard to get all these body lines perfectly straight. Not that hard, but it was just a tedious thing. So what we're going to go into, the flare extensions right here, they have these slots right here. So how those slots work, I had to find the clips. They have this little clip. Let me see where I put those things at. They have a little tiny clip. It's a weird little clip. And man, where did I put those clips at? So here we are, right here. So they have this weird little clip right here, and it looks just like a wedge. I just wanted to show you guys how the flare extensions are clipped in there. So it's a little bit hard to see, but you can see those little white clips there. Those go in and hold the flare extension to the bumper. They're like a little wedge clip. And then those bolts with the U-nuts hold the backside. So that little end, you slide the flare extension into the bumper. A flare extension's over here. It has this little lip right here, and then the clip clips into that, and that little shoulder kind of squeezes it against the bumper to hold it on. Also, the back of it, I still need to go get one or two more U-nuts, but they have the smaller U-nuts right there, and you just use a screw, and that's how that's kind of held together. So that's how that's held on the bumper for the flare extension. So that's one thing I was trying to figure out, and it just fought me forever. I just kind of had to figure it out on my own. Another thing was how all the grills and everything on the bottom went together. The two outside grills actually just snap in, so those are pretty easy. This grill right here, so what you want to do is this lip right here, if you're putting this together off of the car, it's a lot easier. But if you're putting everything together on the car, there's a support for this lip right here, and it actually needs to go on first because it's impossible to get it to go on when the bumper's on the car. So this piece right here, you can see there's two pieces. This piece is the lip. This piece, where's my finger? I'm trying to hold the light too. So here's my light. So this piece is the lip support, and it's a little extension that bolts the splash shield. And then this is the lip right here. So this piece you need to actually slide on the bumper if it's on the car first. And then how that mounts is you slide that on, then you slide the grill on. In between that, there is a U-nut on the top that goes on the bumper. Can you see it? So let's see. See that U-nut? And then a 10 millimeter bolt, or an M6 bolt with a 10 millimeter head, just goes through it. And I used one with a pretty large washer. I'm not exactly sure if it's the correct bolt, but that's what I had. I just used some stuff from the Scat Pack. So you can see that the grill's on top. This support piece for the lip support is actually underneath the grill. So the grill slides in between the bumper and the lip support. So if you do not know how that goes, that is a very, very good tip. Also, down here, there's holes. There's these round holes. That's where you gain access to get to those bolts. You can see the bolt right there. It's kind of hard to see this one because there's the ducting for the coolers on the outside ones. The two inside ones is actually a lot easier. It's just a straight shot. Then you have all these square holes. These square holes hold the lip to this piece right here, the lip support. And also there's a bunch of little plastic rivets, or not rivets, but the little plastic clips that clip the lip in there. But you also want to have the bolts in there. So let's see if I can get a good shot. So you can see that bolt right there, and that just has a U-nut. So what that bolt connects is the lip to the support, but it also connects it to the bottom of the bumper as well. So there's the U-nuts on the bottom of the bumper. They're a lot smaller. I still think they're still M6s. No, they're actually these. They're the weird looking, they're not M6s. They're the small U-nuts, and they have these guys going through them, and they have a little washer. So if you're not exactly sure how that went together, that's how that goes together. And also this piece then clips the little splash shield that goes underneath the car. This piece right here, and that's how it goes. But I robbed the U-nuts off of it for the flare extensions, so I'm going to order some of those. And then up here, there's U-nuts. That's M6. I just had some, oh, you can't see it. So I just had some stainless steel button heads because I didn't have the bolts, and all the bolts I had didn't fit in there, and these look a lot better. So I just used those instead with a U-nut, and it just kind of goes in really nice, and everything works very well. So that being said there, that's how that kind of goes together. The flares just have a million clips on them, and they look like this right here, and they have a little foam washer on them just to protect the fender. And you need, I think there's 25 or 30 per flare. So if you don't have them, or if they're busted, just order a pack of them. I'll put a link. I'll put a link for the Amazon ones that I bought. They're a lot cheaper. They are very, very cheap. I think the ones from Dodge are like $1.50 a piece. I think those were, I think they were 20 bucks for 100 of them or something like that. So now we're down here. It's this is the back of the lip. This lip actually goes through, so it's kind of difficult to explain, but the fender liner right here goes on top of this lip, but you have to, and it's riveted. I'm probably not going to rivet this one. I'm probably just going to use the push clips, but you can see back here, there's also rivets underneath. I'm going to rivet those. And then there's the screw that goes to hold the fender. So it goes through the lip. You can kind of see it right there. It goes through the lip, then through the bumper, then into that piece that this bumper, the bottom of the bumper clips to. So if you don't know, there's actually a difference. They don't show it on Dodge's parts catalog. It shows that everything is actually the same, but if you have a wide body, these are different. So you have to get the newer ones. This is off a 16 Scat Pack, but it doesn't have the provision for the wide body flare extensions to slide in and then put the little clip in. So there's actually a little cutout right here on the correct ones. So just get the newer ones. They're all the same. I think from 17 up, I believe. But if it's 16, 15, 16, these won't work. I didn't know that. So that's, and this one was broke. Both of them were kind of broke. I was just kind of using them. And I'm just kind of glad that I got the new ones because it fits better. Then all that just kind of goes together and just kind of works. So now I think that's really all that needs explaining on how the bumper goes together, other than one thing. There's Took me a long time to figure out where these went. These are the Closeouts. Let me make sure I'm gonna put the right one on. So these are called Closeouts. I had no clue what they were for. When I ordered all the parts, I said I needed everything for the front end. That's what they sent me. I had no clue where these went. And then I was looking over here and I was just like, man, that kind of looks the same. And I went, bam. So that's where those go. They just close out right there. They just close out that bottom of the lip so air doesn't just seep out here. All the air goes through the cooler instead, so it's not a big air leak or an air passage for air to go through. So it's just a bunch of stuff that I just kind of wanted to explain, because I know a lot of people watch the videos. Not a lot of people are going to buy a wrecked Hellcat to fix, but the ones that are trying to figure this out, this is going to be pretty late in the video, but the ones that are trying to figure out how this bumper goes together are just going to be, you know, I was just so irritated because I couldn't find anything. But now we're here and the car looks extremely good. Now back on the ground all together. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take it over the car wash and just wash it off, or one of the drive-through non-touch car washes, just have it wash it off so I can, you know, pretty much get it 100% clean. But yeah, she looks super, super good. Before I do that, I'm gonna go home and change because I'm pretty dusty and dirty from buffing and all this stuff, and I don't wanna get the interior dirty. So what I'm gonna do is go home, grab the FC, then I can put this in the garage because the FC has been sitting in the garage. Bring the FC back down here and then do all the rear suspension on the FC, which I have been waiting to do. I'm about to take the Hellcat through the car wash. Yeah, now she's all done, needs a little cleaning. So here she is, all nice and washed and cleaned up, finally finished, and the paint is so clean and smooth. You can see the reflection. It's like looking in a mirror, which always takes a long time. The car wash didn't get all the rubbing compound that was just around off, so I will have to go back with a rag and kind of wipe it up. People were talking about the fender. I still haven't blended the color into the door, which once I do that, you won't actually even be able to tell that it was painted. So right now, I've been working on this car for almost a year now, just with all the part situations and everything just taking so long. So right now I want to just drive it, and when I get maybe a few weeks that I'm not going to drive it, I'll blend both doors and the top rails as well. But I'm gonna have to say this thing is just super clean. It came out very nice compared to how it was before, and I'll actually put some pictures of this thing before I actually fixed it. So that's gonna be the end of this video. I'm gonna end it here, drive this thing home, park it in the garage. If you guys like the videos, make sure to click the subscribe button, thumbs up, comment below. See you guys next time.